Thanks for viewing VeloNews.com. I'm Neil Rogers here with Brian Holcomb in Crested Butte after the finish of Stage 1 at the inaugural USA Pro Cycling Challenge. After a prologue that was fun to watch, interesting, beautiful, scenic, we had our first real road stage uphill finish in Mount Crested Butte. Levi Leipheimer takes the stage. Brian, from what you saw on the road today, what were the big surprises and what weren't surprises?
You know, I think one thing that wasn't necessarily a surprise was to see a couple of the hardmen of the domestic peloton in Brad White and Jay Thompson on the front in a long breakaway. Those guys know the front of the race well. I was surprised, I have to be honest, by Levi Leipheimer's stage win. He rode that finale incredibly intelligently, attacked with 500 meters to go and rode onto that little bit lesser steep ramp towards the finish. I was surprised to see Andy Schleck go backwards so early. He hit out early on the climb, and we saw him lose about a minute.
Well, as you know, I wasn't surprised by Levi winning because he was my pick for the stage win today. You know, what surprised me a little bit were the Schleck brothers and the way they dealt with the altitude. And as we were discussing earlier, I've read and heard that the way an athlete or even just anybody handles altitude is largely genetic. And it was interesting to see Frank Schleck seem to handle it so much better than Andy Schleck. Given Andy did put in an attack, it kind of blew him up. Blew himself up, and then he moved backwards. But at the end of the day, Frank finishes 7 seconds behind Levi Leipheimer, and Andy finishes a full minute down. I think at this point it's pretty clear who Leopardtrek will be riding for. Well, Wednesday's stage is the Queen stage of this year's race. It's 130 miles from Gunnison to Aspen. Two major passes, Cottonwood and Independence, both go over 12,000 feet. If there's one day that's going to blow this race apart, it's got to be Stage 2. What do you expect to see happen?
Well, you know, I talked to Tom Danielson, talked to a few of the other GC favorites, and a few of these teams have a lot of cards to play. Danielson said he felt terribly at the finish today. He has Van de Velde there as well near the top of the GC. I think those guys are going to try and light it up on Independence Pass. They have a team that could potentially split the front of the race in what we may see some crosswinds and some nasty weather heading through Twin Lakes up to that final climb. The Colombians, though, I mean, they're right there. They're so strong, Neil. What do you expect to see from those guys? You know,
I have to admit, I don't know a lot of these riders. All I know is that 6 Colombians were in the top 12 or 13 on today's stage. That's sort of counting Sevilla, who's Spanish, but on one of the Colombian teams. You know, I think that these guys, they didn't do particularly well in the prologue. They moved up today. I think they know that tomorrow is their stage. I don't think they're going to expect to win the race with the Vail Time Trial, so they're going to try to light it up, sell out, go for broke. I think they're going to go for the stage win and try to move up the GC. I think that the Queen stage will be one that's remembered by the presence of the Colombian teams.
Yeah, I think that the potential question mark here is the weather and also the descent down into Aspen. We have a long, fairly technical, high-speed descent down into Aspen. Will we see some of the guys that don't descend quite as well dislodged in that run-in? Will we see a rider, perhaps like Ryder Hesjedal, Robert Hessink, try and jump ahead of the peloton or ahead of the lead group there and take some time? Cadel Evans can go downhill well, of course. That run into Aspen will be quite interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting finish. Well, you come back, watch our video tomorrow. We'll be talking about what happened. And as always, thanks for tuning in to VeloNews.com.